Hi everyone. Well, this video is going to be the first of a series of videos about our flight to Iceland and back in aid of Prostate Cancer UK. My aim is to show what's involved in planning an expedition of this scale, to assess the risks and to manage them in such a way to make this expedition as safe as it can be in the aircraft that we fly. In this episode, we'll look at the journey, the distance involved, the fuel requirements, and how we plan to carry enough fuel to get us there. Just for reference, I'm not going to quote any speeds in knots or distance in nautical miles. Neither me or Dave use these measurements. Our aircraft's airspeed indicators are in miles per hour, and we both use GPS for navigation. If you still work with map and compass, it works to use knots and nautical miles, as this all goes together with calculating distances with degrees, minutes and seconds. And speed in knots goes together with nautical miles. Anyway, I don't want to bore you with all that, so let's get back on with the planning. Our first major leg is from Wick in the northeast of Scotland over to Vega in the Faroe Isles. This is a distance of 288 miles. Our second leg is from Vega to Egilsstadir. I think I've pronounced that something close, but that'll become more apparent as we get on with it. This is a distance of 312 miles. So all in all, from Wick to Egilsstadir via Vega is 600 miles. We have to work on the total distance. We can't just assume that we're going to land at Vega. The real worry is that we get there and it's fogged in, even though we've had a good weather report when we set off. So we must be able to do the whole journey in one. Getting to Vega and turning round and heading back to Wick is not really desirable, as we will have set off with a tailwind, and if we turn round and head back to Wick, we will have a headwind all the way back. So it'll probably be slower to turn back to Wick than it would to carry on to Iceland. So when we set off, we'll be looking for a tailwind and good conditions to set off. We want to be setting off somewhere in the region where we're looking to do the whole crossing in about 8 hours. I have been watching the weather all of 2025 through the June, July, August period. I have seen the crossing down to sort of round about 6 hours. I've also seen it up to sort of 12 hours. You know, we're basing it on 8 hours. I'd rather have a calm flight at 8 hours or 9 hours than have a rough flight at 6 hours. So we both have a 4-hour fuel range with these machines, so we're going to need to take extra fuel. Over the past few months, we've been designing, building and installing extra fuel tank to take the required amount of fuel. So let's have a look at my setup. I started off with a big lump of polystyrene that I cut to size to get it to fit on my back seat. I was working out the volumes as we were looking for a 100 litre capacity. I also received a plan of another fuel tank that somebody else had used. They kindly gave me that plan, and I looked at it and adapted it and adjusted it to my requirements. So here's some pictures of the build process. You can see here, this one's got the baffling going in. This is the baffling before it went in. Here's another one being installed. And then when I got the tank back, I then fitted it in the aircraft to check that it all fitted right. I marked it up for the sight tube, and then where I was going to drill and tap, I had 5mm plates welded on, so I got a bit more thickness. Here's it with the sight tube fittings fitted, and now with the tube on. I used a black gasket, petrol resistant gasket paste, to keep things all nicely sealed with the threads. So I've now got the fuel tank marked up. We've got the sight tube here, and on the sight tube we've got measurements from 40 litres right up to 100 litres. I have put 100 litres in it. First of all, I filled it up with water, 100 litres of water, and I checked it for leaks, checked it overnight, but as I was filling it up, I did it in 5 litre increments and marked it at every time. There is a little float. It's down in here at the moment, but when the fuel comes up, it will float up with it and become more visible. I 3D printed these little pieces here just to keep things in line and stop it flapping around too much. So just looking around the tank, I've actually extended the seat belt down. I've made these pieces here and attached them with carabiners. So the fuel tank sits on the back seat nice and snugly, and it's held in just with the original seat belt, so it's not fixed in any way. My understanding that if it was fixed, it would need to have a modification. This is really no different to carrying a couple of jerry cans on your back seat, which we all kind of do in some shape or form. So you'll notice I've got 2 fuel fillers here. So I bought this one first, had it welded on, and I thought it were actually a bit narrow, because I know a lot of the avgas pumps that you get at the airports have got quite a sort of thick nozzle on them. So then I bought this one and had that one welded on, so I've got 2. I think it's actually a good plan to have 2. When I've been, during the build, and I've been looking inside it, I've been shining the torch down this one and looking down this one, which has worked quite well. I also intend to, when I'm filling up from this one, I'll take this one off, and then I can keep an eye on things going in, and it'll vent nicely while filling up with fuel. These are the vents for the fuel tank. So when it's transferring fuel into the main tank, these will vent the tank so that it doesn't vacuum. And then obviously we've got 2, which is a good backup, because if one gets blocked, the other one's there. So the chances of 2 getting blocked or 2 not working, I think is got to be a good idea. Now the fuel transfers down into the main tank, and the way it does that is the fuel comes out in the bottom centre of the fuel tank. Hopefully you can see that. And then it's piped through. I've got an inline filter here, and then it runs through. I've got a tap here, which I just turn on like so, and then the fuel line comes round and it goes into the top of the main tank. So take that one off, screwed this one on. Now the first time I transferred fuel, I had a look in when I'd got back, and there was a couple of litres left in there, or perhaps not even that, to be honest. Say a litre was left. So it's looking like the outlet on the fuel tank at the bottom is higher than the inlet there, so it was leaving a bit. So what I did, just have a look in here, I extended the pipe down into the fuel tank so that actually siphons every last drop of fuel out of the auxiliary tank. So I put 100 litres in there, I will get all 100 litres out of it. So that's working well. That's been tested. So that's all good. I've got a bit of a gap under here. I'm intending to take the fuel tank out, polythene the whole thing up, put the tank back in, and then expanding foam that. I'm just going to lift it slightly so that when the fuel tank is full, it's not bearing on just the two back corners, it'll be bearing on the whole area of the bottom of the fuel tank. Now you see, I've still got the seat in there at the minute. When I'm flying it with the tank on, I take this out. And I sit there, I'm quite comfortable. I've done several flights, I've done a few hours with this in the back, and it's all comfortable, really not a problem. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please give us a like, feel free to share. Also subscribe if you've not already, that would be much appreciated. At the end of the day, this is all in aid of prostate cancer. There's a link in the description that will take you to the Just Giving page. There is also a GoFundMe link. Any money donated on there helps us with the cost of the expedition. That concludes this video. Thanks again. We'll see you shortly.